Yeah, but the problem is that you could design, so if you're only thinking about the customer requirements, it's not enough. Customer requirements just want the functional part of it. They want it to work a certain way, but sometimes when you try to design a software that works in a just certain way that fulfills the same certain functionality, sometimes you make mistakes or stuff. Sometimes you don't have the creativity to know that you're exposing, you're designing something that is flawed. But that's why there are these certain specialists that try to, or there are checklists that you can actually try to see if your design it has flaws and you try to avoid them. But sometimes these mistakes or security weaknesses are going to be there, so you have to detect them then at a later stage. But you always try to have security as one of you try to design functional software with security in mind since the very beginning.
Another thing is that sometimes the client for which you're making a product tries to ask for certain requirements which will push on some security aspects. They want to have some functionality of the software that there's no way to make the software, the system work in the way that the client wants.
Provide security.
If you don't break some security aspects, so you have to be careful. If you face this situation where your client tries to push a functionality which may pose a vulnerability to your system, you have to negotiate or talk to this client and try to reach a point where the functionality reaches some point close to expectations, but that doesn't bring along with it all these security problems that it might bring if you do it as the client wants.
Also, sometimes the client wants information to be easy, very accessible, but sometimes when you have very accessible data, you may be sacrificing confidentiality or maybe integrity of that information. So it's always if you want something, you might lose something else, and there is no perfect way to implement software. Always something is it's gotta give. Well, there are some security testing tools. You probably could see the list right here. This is one of those tools that are in the paper, but there are many more. There's Flowfinder, there are RATS. Most of them are just exclusive to some kind of languages. For example, Flowfinder works for C and C++, and RATS works for C, C++, and PHP. There's also Fortify, which works for C, C++, Java, and C#. But actually, when we look for this one, you have to pay for this one, and it's very expensive. Yeah, there is a 60-day or 30-day trial. Some of the other ones are free, but there are more. But just so you know that there are some tools for testing tools, and they create this automated test. So you should check them out.
A problem with these tools sometimes, the literature was talking a little bit about these tools, and they're good in a sense because they help try and find flaws in the system. But the thing is that some of these tools provide so many information that it's very hard for people that are monitoring or doing the test to go through all this data.
It's very overwhelming.
It's an amount of data that is overwhelming. So another issue, once that we have all the information this has created, any of these tools, that you have to know how to interpret this data and how to efficiently go through the data and try to identify if there has been an attack or if there's a flaw happening in your system, so you can contain it or solve the flaw.
Yeah, they're gonna help, but they're gonna do the job for you.
They help, but they don't solve the issue. They just want to assess. So that's it. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them at the moment. You can make your questions in Spanish or whatever.
Are any of these tools good for functional testing?
I think that in a way they are. For example, Flow Finder, I think it can find, for example, memory leaks or memory errors in your code when you run. So in a sense, it might pose a security issue, but it also might pose a functional issue if you, for example, get a memory leak or you run out of memory at the long run. So this software can help you identify those sorts of things, but their main purpose is to work with security. There are also some of the tools that might help into specifically that are designed for functionality, but I think the group that is presenting next will go into further detail about automated tools because that's their topic. Any other questions?
That's all.
Well, appreciate it.